John David, okay, be honest with me. How tricky is it talking about this movie?
Oh, man. Honestly, yeah, it has its challenges. But it's still exciting because we get to talk about it. We get to talk about it because it's actually coming out. So that's exciting.
All I have for you is a word. Tenet. It'll open the right doors, some of the wrong ones too.
Now, when you're describing this film to your friends, like casually, how do you begin to do it? Because I've just been going, it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Well, I was gonna say, like, so y'all know who Christopher Nolan is, man? Y'all like Chris? Like, have you ever seen any of his films? Well, you seen all Christopher Nolan's films, right? All right, imagine if they all like just got together and pitched their ideas for something new. He's taken everything he's done and put it with what he's planning to do, like in the next 10 years. It's like it's really, I think it's his greatest work.
He can communicate with the future. Time travel? No.
It feels like a weird little miracle, but Christopher Nolan movie is in cinemas. That's 2020 for you, right? But I want to kick things off with just a bit of fun because I just checked out the trailer for the umpteenth time now that I've seen it. And all the commenters are doing these jokes of, how was the movie? It hasn't started yet. Christopher Nolan, yes. Interviewer, so how much are you going to screw around with time? I just want to salute everyone who is totally on board with this film. Anyway.
Good.
It's great stuff.
Because I can hear his voice too. That's good. That's good.
I just saw the movie. I am so excited for the trailer. Anyway.
Who's the American?
He seems nice. I invited him to the dinner.
If Nolan had left you in that closed room in Warner Brothers with a script and it was just squiggles and doodles, would you still think, I'm probably going to take it?
But genius!
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I imagine reading this script for the first time, you're like, I'm going to have to read that again.
Yes, definitely. For me, I read it many times. I mean, you usually read a script multiple times, but it's also interesting because like when I open that script up in that like hallowed room of Warner Brothers, I selfishly invested in my character's journey through it. So in a way, I sort of read it with such a sort of narrow focus of like, what does Kat see? What does she feel? What does she go through? But I have to say, like, although it obviously has its complexities, which Nolan's films do, I also, as someone who doesn't have a science mind at all, do find them accessible on whatever layer I do, And I guess that was my experience of reading the script as well.
You got something.
Not gonna like it.
Time isn't the problem. Getting out alive is the problem.
What would you say to people who've just watched the movie who are a little bit dumbfounded by what they saw? Is it go and watch it again?
I think it's a good feeling. I mean, I think that's kind of like the whole point. I mean, it's kind of, I like doing movies where you're kind of, you're hopefully trying to stupefy people. And I definitely, it's kind of the same thing with the script. I remember weirdly when I read the script the first time, I read it really fast and I kind of really understood it on the level which they kind of says, in one of the lines saying, don't try to understand it, feel it. And I kind of did in the first reading.
Don't try to understand it. Feel it.
And I left and Chris was saying like, wow, did you really read it that quickly? And I just kind of I was like, shit, did I not read it correctly? And then obviously when I started trying to break down the character, like it's just layer after layer after layer, even to the point where you can completely overwhelm yourself with the ideas in it. But when I saw it for the first time again, it's one of the only movies where I watched and I could completely just let myself go watching it. Because it's just there is a level of technical mastery that I don't think anyone really can understand. No one can really achieve what he's doing at the moment.
Christopher, talk to me about driving a plane into a building.
You want to crash a plane, but not from the air. No, it's so dramatic.
It's really fun as a filmmaker when you get to do things that just reduce you back to that sort of childlike state of, what are the possibilities of a giant movie.
Well, how big a plane?
Being able to sort of impulse buy a 747 and run it into a building. That was definitely a fun one.
That part is a little dramatic.
I would love to have been in the room where you could go to the guy selling the plane, stick it on my card.
It was a little more expensive than that, but it was actually a pretty good deal when we priced it out relative to building the set for the interior, building the set for the exterior, building a miniature, CG, etc., etc. When we added it all up, we realized that it was actually going to be cheaper and more efficient to buy the plane, and we took the engines off first and sold the engines, and that paid for quite a lot of it because the engines are the expensive bit.
That's the tip for next time I feel like doing it. Good to know. I like it.
What'll happen here?
Hasn't happened yet.
Is there a particular trick to good mask acting, or is it, we'll fix that in ADR?
Mask acting.
When you've got to wear, it's hard enough with all the technical requirements and the moving backwards. And then they say, could you do it with a mask on?
Yeah, and you can't see either.
No, actually, because you had a really full-on mask, didn't you, Rob? Like a gas
Oh my
mask.
God, driving a Humvee, trying to not run over John David and Aaron Taylor Johnson. I mean, literally, when you're completely blind at like 100 degrees, there's so much sweat in your eyes, and you can't see out of the windscreen, and stuff, everything's blowing up around you. I mean, it was one of the more terrifying things that I've ever done in my entire life. I don't know what I feel like for having experienced that, but it was definitely.
I literally think I've had that nightmare. I genuinely think I've woken up in a cold sweat to that nightmare.
It's reversing the flow of time. Doesn't us being here now mean it never happened?
I want to ask you about some of the ridiculous, and I mean this in a good way, practical effects in this film. So, talk to me about running up and down a building.
Whew. Well, I could talk to you about what I saw running up and down a building.
We all believe we'd run into the burning building. But until we feel that heat, we can never know.
Scary. I mean, I that was me getting launched up there. But when you read it, I wasn't exactly sure what he meant when you read when you read it. So then seeing that's what he meant. This is bonkers. This is craziness. You really have to love your job, man. So shout out to the men and women that help bring these stunts to life. I'll put it that way.
You have no idea what you're getting yourself into if you go through that door. It's slow motion when I dance.
Well, I'm going, so any tips will be welcome.
I've got to say, casting John David was a masterstroke. He is exceptional, but you really put him through his paces. Is that fair enough to say?
It's fair enough to say. John David, I mean, other than being an incredible actor with tremendous charisma, he's also an athlete. He was a professional American football player, and we absolutely exploited that. I mean, he was able to bring a physicality to the role that was essential. I mean, if you're taking on, you're trying to create an iconic spy figure. It's no small thing, and the physicality is a huge part of that. His ability to be able to fight and run, and just really bring an energy and a freshness to the screen that you haven't seen in a long time. And I think John David just really delivered the goods, as well as being a wonderful guy, tremendous human being to work with, quite frankly.
What do you think we're seeing?
The detritus of a coming war.
What sort of unusual direction do you get from Christopher Nolan when you're, I don't know, walking backwards or during that Estonia driving sequence? Like, there must have been moments where he's saying something to you and you're going, this is so surreal.
I'll tell you one for sure. It was Mumbai when he asked me to jump off a daggone balcony. That was surreal. That took a long time to land for me, the actor, the performer. I'm like, you want me to do what? Like, you want me to, I got to say a line and jump over this balcony? So that night, I should say, took a while because I usually receive the notes and can apply them right away, as he knew. We were like, and he didn't give a lot of them, but when he did, I'd take them. For whatever reason, it took forever to get, and he was wondering why, and then he started laughing when we were done with the day, like, oh, he's scared shitless. That's what it is. And he told me, and I was like, you would be correct, sir. I was scared, man.
So talk to me about how long this took to come to pass. Like, I've read somewhere it was a decade in your mind, this idea of Tenet.
Well, I think, people who've seen my other films, they're going to see things in this film that they've been playing around with for 20 years. The idea of a bullet jumping out of the wall and going back into the gun. I mean, it's there metaphorically in Memento, right back there. These are images and ideas I've been fascinated by and looking to synthesize into a form where it's not structural, it's not metaphorical, it's real. It's what the characters are actually dealing with. It's concrete reality. And that's taken me a long time. I've been working specifically with the spy genre and with how to incorporate these ideas into that genre for about 6 years now, specifically on Tenet. So it's taken a while. It's a lot of thinking that's gone into it, but it's been a fun ride.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Well, I've seen too much. Well, we'll try and keep up.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to keep up to date. You can listen to my Radio 1 movies and TV podcast, Screen Time, on BBC Sounds. And you can find these interviews in full on BBC iPlayer by searching Movies with Ali Plumb.